Good morning, Trevor. Good morning, listeners. My story this morning begins really in the Klondike, in the gold rush. There was a man there from County Mayo. His name was Jack Patrick Murphy. He had gone and emigrated to make his fortune. And when the gold rush started in the Klondike, off with him. And he was rather successful. In fact, he made his fortune there. In two senses. First of all, he got the gold, but then he also won the heart of a lady. While he was there, being Irish, he noticed this girl, a girl called Fanning, Anna Agnes Fanning, from Roscrea in County Tipperary. Now, she also had an adventurous spirit. So you had these two people with adventurous spirits out there in the Klondike. Not alone did he take the shine to the gold, but he took a shine to Anna Agnes, and she took a shine to him. And they were married. And then they returned to Ireland in 1901. Eventually, they would buy the big house locally where he grew up, Mount Jennings House, Hollymount, Roundford, near Claremorris. He welcomed what were known as tinkers in those days because they made tin cans, that was their trade, or travellers to park on his estate. And when his children were born, he had a number of daughters, the second of whom was Delia Murphy. She had a deep interest in Irish traditional music. When the travellers would arrive, she would be down to their camps to hear the stories and to hear the songs. In fact, it was at the campsite of the travellers that she learned to sing Irish ballads for the first time. And she always said that it was Tom Mahan who taught her to sing If I Were a Blackbird. She studied locally, and eventually she would go to the Dominican convent in Eccles Street in Dublin, where one of the other students was Margaret Burt Sheridan, who would go on to become a great opera singer. Delia went on then to study at University College, Galway. And it was at UCG that she began to develop. She had her parents' adventurous spirit. That's very obvious when we look at the story. And she was singing at student concerts and private parties. And just like her father took a shine to her mother, there was one student there, Thomas J. Kiernan, and she became very interested in him. And they were married on the 24th of February, 1924. And that was one Thomas J. Kiernan. Now, Kiernan was a civil servant, and he was appointed shortly after they got married to the High Commission of the Embassy in London. In 1935, the family returned to Dublin. All this time, Delia is singing. She has recorded nearly 100 songs with his master's voice, or HMV. Really, at this time, she's probably the most important person who's promoting Irish ballad singing to an audience, certainly at home, but also on the international stage. She made numerous broadcasts, and she began to write songs herself, and she would always attribute her inspiration to her time when she was spending those evenings with the travellers round the campfire. Among the songs that she's famous for was The Spinning Wheel, I'm a Rambler, I'm a Gambler, and Three Lovely Lassies from Banyan. Now, she would accompany her husband on all his postings, and in 1941, he was appointed Irish Minister Plenipotentiary to the Holy See in Rome. And while they were in the Irish legation in Rome, she turned it into a home from home for Irish people, seminarians, clergy, women religious, students, all sorts of people used to attend. She used to have very popular musical evenings on Thursday night. Now, one of the people who turned up for the musical evenings was a Monsignor Hugh O'Flaherty from Kerry. He had actually studied at Mungret College before he went on to become a priest. And he was involved in smuggling prisoners of war and Jewish people out from under the noses of the authorities and helping them to escape. And very quickly, Hugh recognized that Delia had this high adventurous spirit. She was wholeheartedly involved in smuggling people. And it's reckoned that she and Monsignor O'Flaherty's group were involved in saving the lives of some 6,500 Allied soldiers and Jewish people. It was an extraordinary and very dangerous time. After the war, 1946 would see them posted to Canberra in Australia, Bonn in Germany, Ottawa in Canada, and finally Washington, D.C. Now, they bought a farm and a house over the border in Canada, and it was there that they spent many happy years. While he worked as a diplomat in Washington, he would go back and forth, and they lived there on the farm in Ottawa. And it was during that period of time that she made her only LP, The Queen of Connemara. Sadly, her husband died in December of 1967, and Delia stayed on for a while in Ottawa. It was there she gave her last concert in November 1969. She sold out and returned to Ireland, where she settled in Dublin at Liscannor Cottage, Chapel Izard. In January 1971, she made a surprise appearance on The Late Late Show on RTE, and shortly afterwards, she became ill and she died in St. Kevin's Hospital in Dublin on the 12th of February, 1971. She would have been 69 on the 16th of February that year. Ar yesh de goreva anam delish. It's good to remember, history is what makes us who we are. Until we're talking again, Slán go fóill. Bye for now.